So much fun. I've been waiting all day for this. You've been working all day for this. We're back with expert pumpkin carver Jon Neill. He's here to show us his creation. He's been spending the last 5 hours working on a pumpkin, and we're going to have the reveal here in a second. But first, this is what it started off. Well, it started off looking like a pumpkin, but that was early this morning, right?
That's right. Yeah, I started around what, 9 a.m. I believe.
9 a.m. All right, let's come back now. Your honors. Here's the big reveal. Around we go. Voila. Look at that. Look at now, okay, you're missing some of the detail is amazing in the lips. You can just see even, I don't know if Mikey, can you get in tighter on that? Look at that. The texture. This is not carving, this is creation, this is sculpture, isn't it?
That's right, yes. I'm actually sculpting the surface of the pumpkin, or carving it, removing the medium like you would wood or something like that.
You didn't start with like this. How did it begin for you?
Well, you mean as a kid? Just,
yeah.
Oh yeah, I started carving as a kid. My dad did some wood carving and I picked it up, but it wasn't until I was I carved some pumpkins for my wife's office that everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, you've got to do something with this." Yeah. I'm like, "Well, what am I going to do with?"
I work one time a year.
Right, exactly. And it's
I'm going to make a living doing that. So you've been doing it since when? So like
professionally, you mean?
Yeah. How
long?
I
would say about 4 years now.
4 years doing it, and we have some video. The biggest one you did was what? How large?
Gosh, well, one of the biggest ones is 800-pound one that I just carved a couple of weeks ago in Fair Oaks.
800-pound pumpkin.
That's right.
Wow. Oh, here it is. Okay, this is a time lapse.
That's it. And I was in Fair Oaks Farms, Indiana, and this was a 6-hour sculpt. 3,500 people came out to see this. And some people brought a lawn chair and just sat down and camped out the whole day while I carved. So it was, I trained for about 3 months and lost 20 pounds to handle the endurance for it.
Did you really?
I did.
Look at that. Oh, creepy. It's hollowed out too, isn't it?
Yeah.
It looks like it is. Now, you've also done portrait. This is weird to say, portrait pumpkins.
That's correct.
A portrait pumpkin, and I think we have a couple that you want to share with us.
Well, yeah, there's my Walking Dead pumpkin I just did recently. And normally what I do is I'll use a mirror and sculpt doing an expression and try and incorporate that into the pumpkin. So I'll take the character of a pumpkin and infuse my expression into that. So then I get some ridiculous, funny ones like that.
That is phenomenal. Now, I was going to ask you, if we come back, you can see there's a mirror. I walked up and I was sort of looking, we're going to talk about tools here in a second. I saw the mirror here and I was like, what do you have a mirror for? But that is to what, study yourself?
That's it. So I'll do a couple of, expressions just to kind of see where the muscles are pulling.
Yeah.
And then I'll incorporate that into the sculpture of the pumpkin.
Well, all right, so typically it's a knife and you do. What about some of the tools you're using and then how we can take that to our home level?
Sure. Well, if you're just starting out, you can go to your local art store and buy some flat loop carving sculpting tools. They're used for pottery.
Okay. If we don't do that and we go back the old-fashioned way, do you have any tips that we can use I know you mentioned one carving from the bottom of the pumpkin.
Oh, yes. So if you're going to carve like stencils, it's not a good idea to cut the stem off because if you have a pumpkin with a long green stem, that's going to feed your pumpkin and keep it alive. So you want to actually cut it through the bottom or through the back side if you're planning on illuminating like a stencil style pumpkin that are very popular in stores.
If I take because there's the pumpkin patch around here, you take your kids, you load them up in the car, you drive there, you get there and you just look and you go, there's pumpkins everywhere. I want to get a right one. Are there good? Are there some bad? How do I help find?
Great question. So, okay, first one, long green stem. If they've got a stem, you want it still green. That's going to ensure the life of the pumpkin. Okay. That'll feed
Even if you cut it open, it's still going to be giving it some feed.
That's right. Yeah, cut it through the bottom of the side, but don't take the stem off.
Okay.
I will find one, if I'm doing it like this, I want one heavy for its size. Also, the thickness of the stem usually means it's the thickness of the skin.
Sure. Am I looking for, I know, like here, you have different ones here, I know this.
That's right.
But is this, do I want to go for a shape? Am I looking always for the sort of traditional stereotypical pumpkin? This has a different look.
If I'm going to sculpt it, I want a pumpkin with character and something that's dramatic. So that would make probably a nice, kind of expression because of its shape. He's got kind of a cartoony looking face.
Right.
Something like this might be good for a stencil because you've got a big wide area to work with. But if you're doing a stencil pumpkin, you want a thin wall because then you can work with it a little easier.
Yeah.
And that would be lighter. So heavier with mine, lighter with those.
Wonderful.
Does that make sense?
I know. It's going to take me years. You realize I get one chance a year to get it right, but I'll work on it.
Yeah, I was going to say,
it's worth it if it can start coming out looking like this. All right, more information, you can visit NeillArtStudios.com. Great tips there waiting for you as well. And catch Halloween Wars Sundays, 9, 8 Central on Food Network. All right, we're coming right back. Remember, it's Adopt a Shelter Dog Month, and we have the perfect pet rescue waiting on the other side of the break. Come back.